This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and does not provide medical or legal advice. Please consult with a qualified professional before making any decisions regarding your health or legal situation.
On the subject of marijuana in particular. That is the purpose of this meeting, ladies and gentlemen, to lay the foundation for a nationwide campaign by you to demand by law such compulsory education.
High in the Ozark Mountains, it's the Greene County Podcast with Mike and Mason.
All right. As promised, your nerdy edition of Greene County Podcast.
Yeah, celebrating the new season, right? It's a new season. Yeah, why not? We're cutting off. We're starting over again fresh for the new year.
Being in a new season also means it's January and it's freezing cold outside. And you're stuck inside.
And there's only one thing you can do to spend all that time. It's playing video games.
Play video games.
While getting high. And
probably one of the best pastimes, in my opinion. If you're going to get stoned and do something, playing video games is pretty badass.
Yeah, weed and video games go so well together.
I'll let you go first because we both game, by the way.
Well, yeah, we do. I want to open this up with literally the first time I got high.
And played a video game.
Well, no, they coincide. They're the same event. Because I used to not smoke at all. I'd go hang out with my friends. They'd load a bowl, pass around, and I'm like, no, come on. I was like, no, you know.
Now look at you.
Yeah, now look at me. My life is better.
You didn't really like it the first time. I just kept doing it.
No. They had one. I went over, just a random afternoon. And they start passing around. And I was like, why not? So I grab it and I light it. And they're like, wait, what's going on? What's going on? And I was like, I just want to try it. I don't know. It's been a while. I figured, why not? And I got so high. And we were playing Dreamcast, I think, Soul Calibur, right? I became amazing at that game. Unbeatable for like an hour and a half.
I'm still unbeatable in Soul Calibur.
Super high Valdo all over the place, you know. Yeah. We should play. I'll tear you up.
Cervantes is probably always my main. But I will tell you short. And that's awesome.
Well,
the Soul Calibur drop, by the way.
I got so high. I was also supposed to go pick up a friend after work. Nah. I'm unbeatable in Soul Calibur right now.
Someone's gonna throw me off the mountain. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So I sent somebody else to do the responsible stuff, and I kept playing video games and smoking weed.
So I got to tell this story. It has nothing to do with pot, but it has everything to do with Soul Calibur. My best friend, who will remain nameless, and I don't know if he listens. He might. I'll probably send him this once we post it because he needs to hear it and he needs to be reminded of it. Soul Calibur was like that. It was before Smash Brothers, but I think Soul Calibur was one of the first, like, really. I mean, I don't want to say first, like, because Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, all those fighting games, but Soul Calibur was, like, in my mind, the first, like, communal shit talking video game like Smash Brothers could be. You live in a house with a bunch of guys always playing Smash.
Yep.
When we lived together, it was like Soul Cal. Okay. So, actually, before we lived together, it was where this starts. This guy who remained nameless, who, by the way, just interviewed at Brown. He's a fucking doctor, okay? Like, Brown.
Oh, man.
I can't,
like, legit doctor.
I watched this guy chew himself out of a tent because he couldn't find the zipper. He had a piece of that.
and he's responsible for other people's health.
$800 tent. Because he couldn't find it, but now he's interviewing at like one of the most prestigious medical schools in the country, right? I love you to death, and I hope you know that. I do. You're like my brother, but still, like, book smart's not street smart, right? So, anyway, he was living in his apartment at the time, and we were hanging out, same deal, smoking weed out of his upside down mushroom bong that he had, ceramic. I remember it like yesterday. It tasted like horrible because he never cleaned it. And it's funny too. Like as we get older, like I flip bong water constantly. Like when I was a kid, when I was younger, I never even thought of like now. It's
which
like
is insane,
within
right?
a day, I'm like, nope, it's out. I can taste. You know what I mean? It's so weird. But anyway, so we're playing. We're at his house, and there were some chicks over there or something. We're all hanging out, just doing what you described, same deal. And he starts talking shit, and I don't know if it was because I don't know why he was like trying to get across that he was a better Soul Calibur player, but
He's trying to show off for the ladies.
like whatever, okay, then let's do it. And I beat him so bad that he kicked me out of his apartment.
Oh wow, what a sore loser!
Kicked me out of his apartment. Okay, so about a year or two later, we are all living together. He and me and our bearded friend that we all again shall remain nameless, Bondo. And no one knows what that is. Anyway, Bondo and the other guy, the three of us live in this house, and same deal. We're all partying one night, and it gets brought up, Soul Calibur, and he goes, "You could not beat me." And I at this point, I still wouldn't. I knew that it was a touchy subject for him, and if I wanted to push him, I could. But I was like, I don't really want to deal with the drama. And I just kept saying, no, that's not true. You know it's not true. If you want to prove it, we can prove it out here in front of everyone. You have a Dreamcast, don't you? Yeah, in my basement. Go get it.
Oh, man.
So he gets it out. We set it up. We played 3 or 4 matches. And on the 4th one, he stands up, grabs his controller, slams it down on top of the Dreamcast and destroys it. And turns around and goes, I guess we're never going to prove that again, and walks out.
Oh, my goodness.
That was the last time we ever played Soul Calibur.
How long ago was that? That's insane.
That's probably 22, so about 20 years. Maybe.
Dang.
Yeah. So that's my Soul Calibur story.
Hey, it's
one of my
man.
really good friends too. He is a programmer, a coder. He is really, really big into fighting games. I mean, has the full arcade stick deck, like literally,
nice.
like competitively. He is insane. Those guys that really play that stuff competitively are literally like training athletic. Like your memory of combos and moves and defense and counters and all this stuff, and then to almost learn them so well that it's without thought, which is how you have to do it. It's crazy to see. And he owns my ass literally every freaking fighting game that we could, like, literally pick one and he'll own you.
I have a buddy like that.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Injustice.
Yeah.
That fighting game, the DC fighting game.
There are certain games too, like that one's a good one.
He's so good.
There are certain ones that the playing field is a little bit easier. I wouldn't touch him in Street Fighter. He's just going to kill you. But like there are certain ones like Smash. Sometimes you can. It's a little bit even. Sometimes
I love Smash Bros. Man,
yeah,
it's been too long.
But yeah. Anyway, just like with weed, games are very communal, and so I think that's why they go hand in hand. I don't really know. I don't really have a good. I have a good mushroom and. Mushroom and video game story.
You mean like lion's mane, some morels?
Yeah, well, that's
something
what I'll
like
say. Yeah, that's
something
what I'll
like
say.
that.
I guess we'll come back and talk about my morel video game story next. Green County Podcast. We're back.
We are back.
Normally we talk about marijuana on this podcast, but today we're going to talk about lion's mane and the chicken of the sea. You know, funguses.
Chicken of the sea.
So
just a couple fun guys hanging out.
Right after the Switch came out, and yeah, because I didn't have one yet. I had came across some lion's mane in the woods. Decided it was safe to eat, so I did. And I was at my buddy's house who had just got a Switch. And that was the first time I played Mario Galaxy.
Ooh.
And I mean, dude.
That game is so fun, too.
I was in that game. The music, the visuals, like everything. I was so damn locked into that for hours.
You ever play it with a player, too?
Sunrise. Yeah, I with my kids I did.
Yeah, dude, it's a blast.
Yeah. But, like, I mean, I could not. Like, I think I was sober before I realized that the sun, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. You know what I mean? And again, it's just, it blows my mind because it's crazy what under certain substances our brains can do. You know what I mean? And like that one is so ingrained to me. I literally still sitting here with you now can hear and see, laying on his couch, just my eyes being as big as Jolly Ranchers staring at this thing. And yeah, it was unbelievable. And I still kind of get that feeling now when I play it. If I play it and I hear that song, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, it's so good. But Another one, I say that when I first moved here, so I don't want to say that age because I was way too young to be smoking pot. When I first moved back to Springfield in high school,
That's you like give it all away every time. You're like, I'm not gonna say
now,
it.
does it?
I'm not gonna say his name.
I'm a grown-ass
Bondo.
man.
I'm not gonna tell you when it was. It was in high school.
It was in high school. It could have been 18. You don't know. I'm in. It's like the summer before school starts, and obviously I didn't know anybody, so I spent a lot of time at home. But I spent that whole damn summer getting blasted and playing Wind Waker, like charting it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because that game was. I love Zelda, and I mean, spending my time on the open seas, going island to island. Oh God, it was a blast. It was a blast. But now I think it's more of a, I don't know, tackling fuel, if you will, as the water boy would say. If, for example, you and I are playing Overwatch, you know, hold on, dab break.
Yep. Uh-huh. Oh man, I'm gonna be honest, irresponsibly, I missed so many college classes just playing Call of Duty and smoking. We had one of those volcano vaporizers, right?
Yeah.
They've got these like rolls of turkey bag, right? So you can make them as big as you want to cook a turkey in, keep all the moisture in. Well, we had one. We rolled it out about 6-7 feet, maybe, like a full human body size, and strapped it on there, filled it, and then we were just tossing it like a football to each other across the couch while we were
The last person that got it was
killing
like,
people. Oh, dude, it was fine. Like no one cared. We were not of the age to be like weed snobs.
I remember we need to do, now that we've come up this, have we done a MacGyver episode yet?
Oh no, but we definitely need
next
to.
week.
Yeah,
Next week, next podcast. That's what I'm writing down.
Right.
Drivers.
Yeah, you got to write stuff down, especially when you smoke. You might forget it.
The video one was sitting on my computer for this long until we decided to go back and do it. MacGyver, that one will be great because then we can talk about soda cans and bathtub gravity bombs.
I can tell you how I had to go to the SMSU judicial court hearing. For
something
drugs.
on campus.
Something happened, but that's a story for a different day. You're gonna have to listen next episode.
Also, I do want to mention we can talk about this next because I think there's something else when it comes to gaming that you should mention that I think goes hand in hand, and we'll discover that next together. Green County Podcast. Mason, Mike, back in the studio. It is Green County Podcast.
Yeah, it is. Talking about video games and weed.
Also, I think, too, we need to mention RPGs. Really good for
that is true,
smoking pot.
man.
I mean, smoking pot and playing freaking, what's the biggest MMO? I mean, I wouldn't say like World of Warcraft, but...
So I was playing with a friend. We went through... Divinity 2, Original Sin, something like that. It's like Baldur's Gate style, where it's insanely in depth, so cool. You can accomplish tasks like 50 different ways, right?
It's Elder
very
Scrolls.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, it's very open source. Yeah, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim.
Yeah, Skyrim. I mean, again, that's what I was alluding to. I just couldn't think of it.
Yeah, dude, Skyrim. Oh man, Skyrim and a bong. You just sit there for like 2-3 hours.
Fantasy games. I spent a lot of time smoking weed, playing FF7, FF8, FF10.
What's the one with the that ball game? The
FF10.
Is it 10? Yeah, that one was good.
That one was huge. The story in FF10 was so good. That's one of the things about Final Fantasy, that they're so good at story arcs. Final Fantasy 7 being probably the greatest. 8 is a lot of times overlooked, is also just as strong, and 10 is too.
Did you ever play their
They
online
say-
game?
I never got
There-
into
well,
it.
it's
It's like an
16
MMO
or something.
Yeah, they say the newest Final Fantasy story was phenomenal, very Game of Thrones esque.
Yeah.
I just haven't had the time, and again, I don't know. Have I talked about Black Myth Wukong on this?
You brought it up
I'm
a lot in the last episode.
I'm going to tell my
so much
friends
so
and the
we've
people I
been-
care about a lot about this game.
It's Wukong is like a deciding factor of whether or not Mike's gonna like you.
No. That's
No,
not you.
okay, sorry,
Roll
okay,
it
yeah.
back.
But there is levels. There's a hierarchy level that Mike creates.
You heard what I said, but you're applying it wrong. Okay,
Okay,
so what
tell
I
us.
said was
Inform us.
going forward in my life, there was a line. And that line is, have you played Black Myth Wukong? Mm-hmm. And if you say yes, I beat it. You are above the line, and you are going to the stratosphere. There is no stopping for you. You don't have a ceiling because you beat one of the hardest games of all time. If you say you played Black Myth Wukong, but you didn't beat it, and you're not going to try, and you gave up, you are below the line, and you're going down, and you're going to continue to go down forever. If you say that, I have heard about it, but I haven't had the time. You're still on the line. It's okay. You still can make the right choice.
There's still a
If
future.
you heard
for
about it and you say, I don't like those type of games, you are now below the line and you are going in a downward trajectory. So basically, if you're not familiar with it, Black Myth Wukong is the retelling of a very old story called Journey to the West that is basically a Chinese origin story.
Awesome story.
It's
There's an
incredible.
amazing movie about it too.
Dragon Ball Z. Based
Dragon Ball
off
Z,
of
yep.
the Journey to the West. There's all kinds
Monkey
of different...
King.
Yeah, Monkey King. There's all kinds of different stories that tell this story, but ultimately, these guys, these developers, I mean, they put their heart and soul into this, not just the storytelling, but the music in it. I mean, you got a game developer that is writing song lyrics that are making me cry. I mean, and I don't even speak Chinese. And I'm crying at the end of it, going, that's one of the hardest things I've ever seen in my life. I could just say that at the end of the game, and everything I would tell everyone, I'd be like, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. Well, I'm on the same boss for 3 days. I know it
Yeah.
sucks. Don't give up. You'll beat him. And if I could do it, you can do it. There was also a really cool post that I saw, because obviously I'm on the Black Myth subreddit, and the guy that was about my age said, I think I just beat this game and I've got some thoughts. And he literally just wrote out exactly what I thought. The story itself doesn't mean the same thing to a 20-year-old man as it does to a 40-year-old man. And what that means is what drives us, what pushes us, why we're here, what matters, what doesn't matter. Like, all those things are alluded to in this story, and it really hits hard at home when you see it. And you're older, and you're like on the other. I'm not saying I'm over the hill, but like, you know what I mean. I'm in a different season of my life than I was when I was 22. So it really, really hit hard. But then, like I said, I had like 6 Switch games to go through right after that, because I'd spent 6 months playing this damn game, and then I finally beat it. I was like, all right. And the first one I did was Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which you're Zelda for the first time, and it was phenomenal. I beat it in a week, like. It was so easy. I was like, oh, this is great, but oh my God, there's another challenge. So I'm just like knocking them out really quickly because Black Myth was so tough.
Oh man, those other Zelda.
And again, also, if you do decide to take on Black Myth, take breaks, take weed breaks, because it's very crucial. Sometimes you just have to approach it in a different way. That's what I love about it, though. I love problem solving and I love puzzle solving. And I think that in itself alludes to that. Even though it's a fighting game, you still have to understand counters and rhythm. It's a dance, and that's how you have to approach it. And that once I figured that out, it wasn't like Erlong took me a week. There are some bosses. Yellow Long was insane. Yin Tiger didn't bother me a lot. Everyone says he's hard. I beat him really quickly. But again, that was my approach and how I interact with that character.
Yeah, because you can take different.
Helped.
Even though it's like a linear story, you can still take different paths and like go on side quests to bulk up. Basically,
it's not as open world as like a MMO in like Skyrim, for example, where it's like, oh, look at that card over there. There's some jerks, and you can literally go off on like a 5-hour tangent with that. There are certain aspects to that, but it's not that heavy. Like back to FF10, that's why I think FF10 was so good, is because they made it so linear.
Yeah.
Like you had to like 8 was so open for what it was, and there's so many possibilities to what you could do.
Yeah, you just get lost in the
characters.
options.
Yeah, that's kind of how it leaned into. But what I did want to mention, too, is that even though we're video game nerds, another thing that I love to do, Stone, and I know my wife does, too, she is like a big into the coloring thing, loves that shit.
Oh.
Like alcohol pens, like the whole gel stuff, like
nice.
where they do like, it's almost like illustration. You say coloring, I feel like it dumbs it down because I'm like, no, what you're doing, you're an illustrator. That's what illustrators do.
Mm-hmm.
You have an animator that does this, and then you come in and you illustrate the cells individually. That's awesome. It's a lost art, in my opinion, but I think it's really valid.
Shaders.
It's really, same dip, but yeah.
You remember that
same
fight
dip.
from was it Mallrats?
Yeah. Shaders.
Yeah.
Also Legos. Big fan of the Legos.
I love board games and card games too.
Yeah, I
dude.
do too. But you also have to you got to rely on having people ultimately,
that's
which
true.
kind of sucks. But and if you don't, you can't find them. But yeah, I totally league Legos all day. So if you have anything that you like to do, that's get stoned and play, video game suggestions, Lego boxes we don't have yet, hit us up, greencountypodcast@gmail.com.
And I am so glad we got to do an entire episode specifically just so Mike could talk about Wukong. That's honestly what this was all about.
No, it wasn't.
But
I wasn't even going to mention it. I literally didn't even come across my thought until we got to the point, and I was like, okay, we'll talk about it. But yes.
I'm going to prove it, Mom. Just listen to the last episode we did. And
did I talk about it there, too?
We were going to talk about my experience with something, and immediately it was just like Wukong.
Sorry,
and I was like, this is so
I'm
funny.
obviously very passionate about it still.
You were so passionate.
I shed so many tears over that game.
Oh, man.
So
Play
many tears.
Wukong if you haven't.
The only other game that made me bawl like that was Oni, which was, right?
Yeah.
Was it Oni? No, it's not Oni. God, what was that game?
Describe it. What'd you do in it?
You're a little kind of sprite thing, and it's a 2D platform, and you're in the woods.
Not Silk Song.
No, it's like God. That's not out yet.
Having a hard time
I'm trying
finding
to think.
it.
I can't.
It was so impactful, he forgot about it. I'm thinking we should maybe have like a Smash Brothers tournament.
Ori.
Ori.
And the Blind Forest. Those two platform games were incredible.
Yeah.
Both of them I bawled at the end. In the second one, I came in the next day and I was so downtrodden. I talked to one of our female brand managers. She's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "You really want to know?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I told her. She started crying.
Yeah.
Because I was like, "This is how it ends." And she goes, "Oh my God." And I was like, "Yeah, dude. Yeah. After 40 hours of this, that's how you're like," and just bawling. And it's cool. I'm open to admit my feelings, and things make me cry all the time. I'm sad. It's just what happens.
Like lots of people don't realize, at least I think, video games are art.
Yeah,
they're a collaborative mixture of audio, visual, narrative storytelling,
it's a medium for
game
storytelling.
mechanics,
yes.
and because you play it, you become immersed in the story. It becomes like a part of you. So like I totally understand when you get to the end of the story and it just hits you. It's because you have been actively experiencing it the entire time.
It.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, my favorite series of all time. When he came out with the novella, which no one thought he was going to release anything after it was over, that was like such a good feeling, even though it was short, to go back and to be with them again, to like be in the quartet again, and just to be there, because that's how you feel about it. At least that's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
they become part of you in your fabric. But yeah, as always, like, subscribe, share, use responsibly, and play some more video games this week.
Yeah, let us know what you're playing.
Then next week we will be back to talk about all the stoner engineering tools that you might need the next time you're out and about and you can't find a pipe.
So that our children are obliged to learn the truth, because it is only through knowledge that we can safely protect them.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and does not provide medical or legal advice.